Welcome to the Explainer. So today we're going to break down what really happens during a no anesthesia grooming session for a cat. This is all based on a super candid account from a professional groomer who wants every single owner to know the unvarnished truth before they have to make a choice.
You know, if you're a cat owner, especially of a long-haired cat, you've probably faced this tough choice. So let's just get right to the big question. Is going without anesthesia actually safer? And look, the answer isn't just a simple yes or no. It's way more complicated than that, a real balancing act between different kinds of stress and different kinds of risk.
Okay, let's really get into this. Because to make a good call here, you've got to understand the trade-offs for each method. And I'll tell you right now, there is no perfect, stress-free option on the table.
Yeah, there's just no easy answer here, is there? On one side, with anesthesia, your cat is asleep, so there's no struggling. But that comes with its own baggage, right? Fasting, the stress of a vet visit, and of course, the medical risks of going under. And here's something you might not have thought about. The groomer points out that doing this repeatedly can actually build up a tolerance in your cat, which could be a huge problem if they ever need anesthesia for a real medical emergency. But on the other side, no anesthesia grooming, well, that's a raw, intense, and stressful experience your cat is wide awake for.
So, what's the takeaway here? It's not about good versus bad. This isn't a moral high ground thing. It's a practical choice that really comes down to your individual cat, their age, their health, their personality. One method isn't just better than the other. They're just different tools for very different situations.
All right, now we get to the part the groomer really wants every single owner to hear before they even walk in the door. This is, the tough part, what it's actually like for your cat.
It sounds almost laughably simple, but this one fact is the root cause of everything that's about to follow. A lot of dogs might just kind of put up with being held, right? But a cat, its deepest, most primal instinct is to fight against being restrained, especially when it's in a weird place with a total stranger. This isn't them being bad, it's just pure cat.
And this really gets to the core of why they do what they do. Every single difficult thing you're about to hear about is done for one reason and one reason only: to keep your cat from getting hurt. A cat's skin is incredibly thin and loose. If they jerk around while sharp clippers are nearby, it can lead to a really nasty cut. So when you see them holding the cat down, it's not about being mean or showing dominance. It is 100% about safety.
Okay, so you really need to brace yourself for what you might hear and see. The groomer is super clear about this. Your cat isn't just gonna meow. We're talking loud, almost like screaming, and it can be really, really hard to listen to. That's not an exaggeration. It's a very common reaction to the pure fear and stress they're feeling.
And that's why the groomer gives this huge warning. Apparently, owners who watch this on a camera for the first time, without knowing what's coming, they often get really upset. Some even break down in tears. Knowing what to expect doesn't exactly make it pleasant, but it does prepare you, so you understand the context of what you're seeing instead of just being shocked.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the process itself. It can look pretty intense, I'm not gonna lie, but there's a reason behind every single move.
See, every single one of these actions is all about safety. They have to hold the paws, right? Otherwise, the cat could scratch them or bolt. And stretching the skin, that sounds weird, but it's absolutely crucial. If they don't pull it taut, the clippers can easily snag and cut that thin skin. And yeah, they might try things like pheromone sprays, but honestly, the physical reality of the situation usually overrides any of those calming effects.
And this really brings us to a key philosophy here. The goal isn't a perfect, fluffy show cat look. If a cat is just too stressed, too aggressive, especially when working near the face, a professional is going to stop. An uneven haircut is way, way better than an emergency trip to the vet for the cat or for the groomer. Safety first, always.
So you might think the whole ordeal is over once you pick your cat up, right? Wrong. The next few days are actually super important for their recovery, both emotionally and physically.
The groomer used a really great analogy for this. Shaving a cat is like peeling off their natural protective film. Just think about it. It's like their personal little protective layer has been stripped away, leaving their skin totally exposed and sensitive.
Okay, so this part is super important. Listen up. First off, don't be surprised if your cat goes and hides or starts grooming itself like crazy. That's just them trying to de-stress. It's totally normal. But the physical part is where you have to be careful. For the next 4 or 5 days, you have to keep them out of damp, moldy places. We're talking bathrooms, porches, even shoe closets. Their skin is basically a blank slate for bacteria or fungus to grow, so this aftercare is absolutely not optional.
All right, so we've reached the big question, the most important part of this whole thing.
Because after hearing all of that, I bet you're thinking.
And that's a totally fair question to ask. I mean, why would any loving owner put their cat and themselves through something so stressful? Well, the answer has absolutely nothing to do with making your cat look pretty.
Here's the real reason, and it's all about health. A trichobezoar. It sounds complicated, but it's basically a hairball impaction. And we're not talking about a regular little hairball that cough up. No, this is a solid mass of fur that gets stuck and creates a total blockage in their digestive system. It's a massive medical emergency that requires surgery, and it can be fatal.
And that right there is the bottom line. The whole stressful, difficult, noisy process is a form of preventative medicine. You're basically making a trade-off, a really tough hour for your cat in exchange for protecting them from a life-threatening condition down the road. It's preventative care, plain and simple.
So, at the end of the day, there's no single right answer that fits every cat. But now, knowing the reality of it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly, you can make a truly informed choice. You have the full picture to decide what's best for your furry best friend, alongside your vet and your groomer, of course.